The fluorescent lights hum like a trapped wasp. Machines beep in uneven rhythms, their wires snaking around the incubator where the Grant's newborn sleeps. Marcus's finger traces the glass, his wedding band clicking softly. Naomi's hand joins his, their skin meeting through the barrier, a silent pact. Nurse Marjorie's shoes click sharply against the floor. She stops at the incubator, her starched uniform crisp under the harsh light. Her eyes flick from Naomi's designer coat to Marcus's watch, lingering a beat too long. A chart replaces the clipboard in her hands. Marjorie. Saccharine smile. We'll need to confirm your IDs. Standard procedure. Marcus, even tone. Of course. His knuckles pale as he hands over his license. Naomi's bracelet clinks against the incubator. Marjorie's pen hovers, her gaze darting to a security guard lingering near the door. A nurse across the room adjusts her stethoscope, her eyes narrowing at Marjorie. The Grant's baby stirs, her tiny fist pressing against the glass. Naomi's breath hitches, a sound swallowed by the machines. Marjorie, without looking up. Just a few more questions. Marcus's jaw tenses. Naomi's phone buzzes in her purse, the screen lighting up with a notification she ignores. The incubator's reflection warps Marjorie's face, stretching her smile into something grotesque. The security guard shifts, his keys jingling. Naomi's nails dig into her palm. A monitor alarms, sharp and sudden. Marjorie jumps, her pen skidding across the chart. Naomi, softly. She's ours. That's all that matters. Marjorie's smile tightens. She opens her mouth. A colleague taps her shoulder, whispering. The Grants don't hear the words, but they see the way Marjorie's spine stiffens. The door swings shut behind her, sealing the room in heavy stillness. Naomi's phone buzzes again. The screen glows. Philanthropists, Marcus and Naomi Grant welcome. Baby girl. Her thumb hovers over the headline. Outside, the security guard retreats. Before the story continues, please let us know from where you are watching this video. Write your city or country in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit like if you believe in stories that challenge injustice. Your engagement gives power to voices that need to be heard. Marjorie returns, her steps measured, a faint click echoing on the linoleum. She stands by the incubator, eyes fixed on the IDs in her hand. Her lips press into a thin line as she inspects the cards, her gaze flicking between the names and the faces before her. Naomi waits, her posture relaxed, but her eyes sharp, watching every movement. Marjorie's voice is light, almost sweet, but the edge is unmistakable. We just have to be careful. There have been incidents. Her fingers tap the edge of the hospital badge, betraying a flicker of impatience. Marcus offers a small nod, his jaw set. We understand. Our daughter's safety comes first. The words are calm, but his grip on the chair tightens. A security officer lingers near the doorway, pretending to check his phone. Naomi glances at him, then back to Marjorie. She answers quietly, "We're happy to answer any questions." The nurse's eyes narrow, searching for something unspoken. Marjorie leans closer, lowering her voice. "And you're both listed as parents here? There's been confusion before." Naomi meets her gaze, unblinking. "Yes, both of us." Marcus's hand rests on Naomi's shoulder, a silent show of unity. A nurse at the next station glances over, her brow furrowed. She catches Marjorie's eye, then looks away, shifting uncomfortably. The tension in the room is palpable, a current running beneath every word. Marjorie hands the IDs back, her fingers brushing Naomi's hand. "Thank you. I'll update the records." She straightens, smoothing her uniform. The power dynamic lingers in the air, unresolved. Naomi's voice is steady. "We'll be right here if you need anything else." Marjorie offers a tight nod, then moves away, her steps a little quicker than before. Marcus exhales, the tension easing just slightly. Naomi's phone vibrates again, but she ignores it, her focus on their daughter. The security officer glances, back one last time before leaving the doorway. The machines hum, their steady rhythm at odds with the tension thickening the air. Naomi's hospital bracelet cuts into her wrist as she adjusts her daughter's blanket. Marcus stands rigid, his gaze locked on Marjorie, who whispers to a colleague near the nurse's station. The colleague's eyes widen, darting toward the Grants before she nods and hurries away. Marjorie returns, her pen tapping the edge of her chart. "We'll need to verify a few more details," she says, avoiding their eyes. Marcus's voice stays low, controlled. "What kind of details?" A monitor beeps sharply. Naomi's hand flinches toward the incubator. Marjorie's tone softens, but her words sting. "Just confirming your relationship to the child." Naomi, quietly. "We're her parents." Marjorie's pen stills. "Of course, but we've had situations." Across the room, a white couple laughs with a nurse, their IDs untouched. Marcus's throat tightens. Naomi's phone buzzes. Another ignored headline. The incubator's glass fogs under her breath. Marjorie flips a page, her nails scraping the paper. "You understand, we can't be too careful." Naomi's voice hardens, just a fraction. "We do, but she doesn't." She nods to their daughter, whose tiny fingers curl around nothing. The security guard shifts in the doorway, his radio static cutting the quiet. Marjorie's colleague approaches, hesitating. "The system's updated," she murmurs, avoiding the Grants' stares. Marjorie's smile wavers. Everything seems in order. She hands back the chart, her fingertips brushing Naomi's. The contact feels like an apology. She'll never speak. The Grants don't move. The incubator's light casts long shadows, stretching toward Marjorie's retreating figure. Naomi's phone lights up again. Donors of the year. Its glow reflected in the glass like a warning. Marcus's hand finds Naomi's. Their daughter's heartbeat pulses on the monitor, steady and defiant. The quiet hum of the NICU is broken only by the soft beeping of monitors. Naomi's phone vibrates in her purse, the screen briefly illuminating with a headline. Philanthropists. Marcus and Naomi Grant. Welcome, baby girl. Her lips curl into the faintest smile, a flicker of something fierce behind her composed expression. Marjorie sits at the nurse's desk, eyes glued to her stack of notes, missing the significance of the alert. Her pen moves in short, nervous strokes, unaware of the subtle shift in energy. The incubator's glass catches the glow from Naomi's phone, casting a faint light that seems to hang between the couple and the nurse. Marcus glances at Naomi, noticing the change. He keeps his voice steady, low. "We're here for our daughter. That's all that should matter." The words hang in the air, quiet but unyielding. Marjorie looks up, her smile forced, eyes darting away. She clears her throat, trying to sound in control. "We just have to follow the usual checks." Her fingers tighten on the pen, knuckles paling. Naomi's gaze meets Marjorie's, unwavering and calm. The quiet tension grows, thick as fog. The room seems to pause, the unspoken weight of history pressing down on everyone present. A nurse at the far end of the room shifts in her chair, glancing at the trio before looking away. A security guard's measured footsteps echo softly, a reminder of the scrutiny that lingers. Naomi's grip on her phone tightens, the blue glow a small beacon of defiance. Marcus's hand finds hers, a silent affirmation of unity. Marjorie's pen slips, leaving a jagged line on her page, a tiny fracture in her composure. The scene ends with the incubator's glass reflecting both the headline and the couple's steady presence, a quiet promise that this moment will not be erased. The NICU's quiet hum is broken only by the soft rustle of charts as Marjorie leans in, her words barely audible. "Are we sure they're the parents?" The question lingers, casting a chill over the sterile room. Naomi's gaze meets Marcus's, pain and anger flickering between them. No words needed. Naomi's hand closes around her phone, the screen glowing with donors of the year. The light bounces off the incubator glass, a silent rebuttal to the suspicion hanging in the air. Marjorie's posture shifts, her shoulders tense as she glances at a colleague nearby. The colleague gives a small, uncertain nod, the doubt now shared. Marcus's jaw tightens, his voice low and unwavering. "We're here for our daughter." The words are simple, but they land with weight. Naomi stands beside him, her stillness a force, her silence louder than any argument. The usual beeping of machines seems to slow, the atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. A nurse at the next station adjusts a monitor, her eyes flicking toward the trio before she looks away, lips pressed together. The security guard outside the door checks his watch, shifting his stance, the sense of scrutiny never fading. Footsteps echo faintly in the hallway, the world beyond the NICU moving on, unaware of the storm brewing inside. The incubator's light stretches long shadows toward Marjorie as she steps back, uncertainty etched on her face. The door closes with a gentle click, enclosing the moment in a heavy pause. The Grants remain by their daughter's side, the glow of Naomi's phone a quiet challenge to every doubt cast their way. The room settles into a stillness thick with the promise of consequences yet to come. The baby store's polished floors gleam beneath soft lights. Marcus holds a tiny onesie, his hands trembling just enough to notice. A security guard shadows him, eyes sharp, radio murmuring in the background. Marcus's breathing is measured, but his jaw clenches, a quiet burden shouldered by black fathers everywhere. He glances at the exit, watching a white couple wander freely, laughter bubbling between them. The guard's radio crackles again, filling the space with static. Marcus's grip on the onesie tightens, knuckles paling. He moves toward the register, the guard's presence never more than a step behind. Flash to the NICU, where the same unease coils in Marcus's chest. His daughter's incubator glows in the half-light, a fragile sanctuary. Marjorie's gaze lingers on him, suspicion etched in the set of her mouth. Marcus's mind flickers back, whispered doubts, sidelong glances, the unspoken question, does he belong? Back in the present, Marcus's hand brushes the incubator glass, a silent promise. Naomi stands beside him, her eyes steady, her presence a shield forged from countless battles. Marjorie's footsteps echo, a reminder that scrutiny never really fades. The sterile hum of the room is at odds with the storm beneath Marcus's calm exterior. A nurse nearby watches, her face a blend of sympathy and resignation. She shifts, caught between duty and conscience, offering Marcus a small nod, a gesture of quiet support. Naomi's voice breaks the tension, soft but unwavering. "We're here for our daughter. That's all that should matter." Marjorie's eyes flicker, her smile tightening as she steps back, the weight of unspoken judgment settling in the air. Marcus exhales, the weight of history pressing down, but a flicker of defiance lights his eyes. The incubator's glow becomes a heartbeat of hope. The camera lingers on Marcus's face, lines of fatigue softened by resolve. The scene closes with a slow fade, the promise of change lingering. The waiting room smells faintly of antiseptic and coffee. Naomi sits, one hand resting on her belly, the other clutching her purse. A nurse calls her name, glancing at the designer bag with a quick, appraising look. Naomi stands, smoothing her dress, and follows the nurse down a narrow hallway lined with faded posters. Inside the exam room, the nurse flips through Naomi's file, her fingers pausing on the insurance card. "Just a quick check," she says, voice clipped. Naomi nods, her smile polite but tight. The nurse's eyes linger on the Medicaid logo, then flick to Naomi's wedding ring. "Is this your current coverage?" she asks, pen poised above the form. Naomi answers quietly, "Yes, that's mine." The nurse's lips press together, a silent judgment passing between them. She types something into the computer, the keys clicking in the stillness. A doctor enters, greeting Naomi with a practiced smile. He glances at the chart, then at Naomi. "Everything looks good. Any concerns?" Naomi hesitates, then shakes her head. She feels the nurse's gaze, measuring, weighing, searching for something out of place. The doctor checks the monitor, making small talk about due dates and weather. Naomi's mind drifts. She remembers her mother's warnings about being doubted, about having to prove she belongs. The nurse hands back the insurance card, her fingers brushing Naomi's with a quick, impersonal touch. As Naomi leaves, she passes another patient, a white woman chatting easily with a nurse. Their laughter follows Naomi down the hall, a reminder of the invisible barriers she faces. Back in the NICU, Naomi's hospital bracelet presses against her skin, a constant reminder of every moment she's had to justify her place. She glances at Marcus, their daughter's tiny form between them, and draws strength from their unity. The nurse's station is alive with the shuffle of charts and the low hum of conversation, but tension hides beneath every gesture. Marjorie leans over the counter, her voice barely above a whisper. "They don't look like donors," she murmurs, eyes darting toward the grants. The words land sharp, slicing through the air and settling into the space between staff. Priya, the only black nurse on shift, grips a patient file tighter, knuckles paling. Her gaze finds Naomi's across the room, a fleeting connection, heavy with the burden of divided loyalties and the silent pressure of the hospital's culture. Priya's hand shakes just slightly, a sign only she notices. A nurse at the next station adjusts her mask, eyes fixed on the floor. The machines beep steadily, a cold soundtrack to the growing distance between care and suspicion. Marjorie's comment ripples outward, a quiet force that shapes the mood of the entire unit. Naomi stands by the incubator, her face calm, but her chest tight. She watches as the staff's glances linger a little too long, as whispers grow behind gloved hands. The incubator's gentle glow stretches across the floor, casting a line between hope and the prejudice that shadows it. A janitor pauses in the doorway, mop in hand, eyes flicking from Marjorie to the grants and back. He says nothing, but his hesitation is a silent testimony to the fractures beneath the hospital's polished reputation. Marjorie straightens, her expression carefully controlled. "We just have to follow the usual checks," she says, her tone even but her eyes cold. The room feels suspended, everyone waiting for someone else to move first. Priya breathes out, resolving settling in her shoulders. She steps forward, offering Naomi a small, genuine smile. A quiet, deliberate act of support, in a place that too often demands compliance. The incubator's light remains steady, a small beacon pushing back against the shadows. The NICU's low hum is broken only by the gentle shuffle of wires and a distant monitor's beep. Priya moves with steady intent, her hands careful as she adjusts the incubator's settings. Her eyes meet Naomi's, and a brief, reassuring smile passes between them. No words, just quiet understanding. "Priya," softly. "She's perfect." Naomi's breath hitches, a single tear slipping down her cheek. For the first time in hours, the weight of suspicion lifts, even if only for a moment. Marcus watches, his jaw relaxing as Priya's presence eases the tension in the room. Marjorie stands nearby, her gaze sharp but unable to hide the discomfort flickering across her face as she witnesses Priya's gentle care. Her lips press into a thin line, the challenge unspoken but clear. Priya's voice is calm, but there's steel beneath it, a quiet act of defiance against the scrutiny shadowing the grants. Every parent deserves this moment. A nurse at the far station glances over, her expression softening. In the hallway, a janitor pauses, mop in hand, and nods subtly in support. The sterile air grows warmer, small acts of kindness shifting. The atmosphere, Marjorie's fingers twitch, her posture rigid. She steps back, the balance of power shifting ever so slightly. Priya's presence becomes a balm, a gentle assertion of dignity in a place too often marked by doubt and second-guessing. Naomi reaches out, her hand brushing Priya's in silent gratitude. The touch is fleeting but electric, a silent alliance, formed in the face of systemic bias. The incubator's light glows steady, casting hope where shadows once lingered. The scene closes on Priya, Naomi, and Marcus, united in quiet strength, their resolve unbroken. The hum of the hospital's central office is broken by the faint ping of an email. The administrator, glasses perched low on his nose, scrolls through messages until one subject line catches his eye. Concern: unverified visitors in NICU. He clicks, reading the complaint. No sender, just a vague warning and a timestamp. He sighs, rubbing his temples. The screen flickers as he pulls up security footage. The video shows Marjorie questioning the Grants, her posture rigid, while white parents walk past unchecked. The administrator's jaw tightens, but he says nothing. Instead, he marks the complaint as reviewed and moves the email to a folder already overflowing with similar reports. Down the hall, Marjorie stands at the nurse's station, her voice low as she recounts the day's events to a supervisor. The supervisor nods, distracted, barely glancing up from a stack of forms. "Just make sure everything is documented," he mutters, already turning away. Priya walks past, catching a glimpse of the open laptop and the paused footage. Her brow furrows, but she keeps moving, the unspoken knowledge heavy in her steps. In the break room, two nurses exchange a look, one tapping her phone nervously against her palm. Marcus and Naomi remain by their daughter's side, unaware of the bureaucratic shuffle happening above their heads. The administrator closes his laptop, the reflection of the NICU badge glinting in the screen before it goes dark. The system's wheels turn, slow and indifferent. The Grants' presence is reduced to a line in a report, their experience buried beneath paperwork. The camera lingers on the administrator's hand as he files the complaint away, the quiet click of the mouse sealing another moment of bias in digital silence. The glow from a phone screen slices through the break rooms. Gloom. A nurse scrolls, thumb pausing on a tweet. Even in the NICU, black parents are questioned. When will it end? The post shows a blurred photo of the Grants and their newborn, hospital logo barely visible in the corner. Within minutes, likes and retweets surge. The hashtag, #Judge Black Parents Matter, climbs, notifications pinging across staff phones. Two nurses exchange anxious glances gathering around a screen. The usual background chatter fades, replaced by a charged, uneasy quiet. Whispers ripple down the hall. "Did you see? Is that our NICU?" Marjorie stands stiff by the supply cart, watching the news spread. Her hands tremble, knuckles paling as she clutches a folder. A colleague offers a brief, uncertain look, then turns away, the air thick with unspoken judgment. In the administrator's office, a phone rings. He answers, voice tight, eyes darting between the tweet and a spreadsheet of donors. The Grants' name repeats, their generosity now a spotlight on the hospital's failings. He exhales sharply, pressure mounting. Priya, quietly observing, meets Naomi's gaze across the room. There's a silent exchange, relief, vindication, and a promise of support. The incubator's soft light reflects in their eyes, a quiet testament to hope amid upheaval. Outside, the rumble of news vans grows. Cameras emerge, reporters ready to broadcast the story. The hospital's polished reputation begins to crumble, truth leaking out for all to see. Marjorie's breath catches. The digital tide is relentless. The tweet no longer just a post, but a spark-setting change in motion. The scene closes on screens aglow with the hashtag, the NICU's usual order, replaced by a rising, unstoppable wave. The hospital's executive suite is thick with anxiety. Suits crowd around a polished table, tablets and documents scattered in front of them. A public relations officer reads aloud, voice wavering, "We deeply regret the misunderstanding and are committed to ensuring equity in our care." The words hang, heavy and inadequate. A young publicist's eyes dart to a glowing screen. The Grants' names headline a philanthropy report. Her whisper barely escapes. "They're the Grants?" The realization ripples through the room. An older board member clears his throat, adjusting his glasses, tone grave. "We must act swiftly. This can't be ignored." Marjorie stands at the room's edge, hands clenched, color drained from her face. The confidence she wore so easily has vanished, replaced by a brittle mask. She glances at the exit, then back at the group, understanding settling in with a chill. A nurse, summoned for input, shifts from foot to foot, her gaze flickering between Marjorie and the executives. Another staff member fidgets with a tablet, the blue glow reflecting her unease. The public relations officer's hand trembles as she scrolls through drafts, searching for words that might stem the tide. Beyond the glass, the city moves as usual, unaware of the reckoning inside. The apology draft sits in the center of the table, the words commitment and equity stark against a backdrop of institutional failure. The room's hush is punctuated by the soft tap of a pen, the weight of consequence pressing in. Marjorie's grip slips, a folder nearly falling, before she catches it. A small, revealing moment. The mask of control is gone, replaced by the raw uncertainty of what comes next. The scene closes on her trembling hands, the group's silence, and the apology draft, evidence of a system finally forced to confront itself. The hospital corridor is quiet, except for the soft echo of Marjorie's footsteps. Her hands tremble, slightly as she clutches a folder, the edges worn from constant use. The headline about the grant's philanthropy blazes on her phone screen, a stark contrast to the cold sterility around her. Marjorie pauses, her breath shallow. She tries to steady her shaking fingers, but the papers slip, scattering across the floor. A nurse nearby glances over, her expression a mix of sympathy and discomfort. Marjorie quickly kneels, gathering the documents, avoiding eye contact. White mother passes by, her smile warm and unguarded, her ID never questioned. Marjorie's gaze flickers, a flash of envy and regret crossing her face. She straightens, smoothing her uniform, but the stiffness in her posture betrays her inner turmoil. In the break room, Marjorie sits alone, the hum of the vending machine filling the silence. Her colleagues whisper just beyond the door, their voices hushed but sharp. She hears fragments. She messed with the wrong family. This isn't going to end well. Marjorie's eyes close briefly, the weight of the moment pressing down. Her usual confidence, once a shield, now feels like a fragile mask cracking under pressure. She taps her fingers nervously on the table, each tap a countdown to an uncertain future. A janitor enters, mop in hand, pausing to look at Marjorie with quiet understanding. He offers a small nod before continuing his work, a silent witness to the unraveling. Marjorie's phone buzzes again, the screen lighting up with news alerts about the hospital's reforms and the grant's growing influence. She swipes the screen away, the glow fading, but the impact lingering. The scene closes on Marjorie's face, a mixture of fear, regret, and the first flicker of self-awareness. The tremor in her hands is no longer just physical. It's the beginning of a reckoning. The hospital corridors feel colder, emptier. Marjorie walks with a measured pace, but the usual nods and greetings are absent. Colleagues avert their eyes, their whispers sharp and quick, like a sudden chill in the air. A nurse passes by, her gaze fixed on the floor, lips pressed tightly. She messed with the wrong family, someone murmurs behind a closed door. Marjorie's shoulders stiffen, the weight of isolation settling like a stone. Priya crosses the hall, her steps purposeful but silent. She avoids Marjorie's glance, the unspoken distance between them a quiet indictment. The janitor pauses, mop in hand, watching the scene unfold with a knowing look. Marjorie stops by the break room, the hum of the vending machine filling the silence. She hesitates, then turns away, the door closing softly behind her. Her badge, once gleaming, now catches the dim light with a dull gleam. In the nurses' station, a group gathers, their conversation hushed but tense. A young nurse glances toward Marjorie's empty desk, then back to her colleagues, a mix of sympathy and relief in her eyes. Marjorie's breath catches as she hears footsteps approaching. She turns, meeting the eyes of a fellow nurse who offers a brief, uncertain smile before looking away. The moment is heavy, filled with regret and unspoken words. Her phone buzzes. A news alert about the hospital's new policies and the grants foundation. She swipes it away, the glow fading, but the impact lingering. The scene closes on Marjorie's face, a portrait of quiet defeat. The tremor in her hands, a silent echo of a crumbling world. The NICU is quiet except for the soft beeping of monitors. Marcus sits beside the incubator, legal documents spread before him, his fingers tracing the edges of the papers without signing. His jaw is tight, eyes fixed on the tiny form of his daughter, her fragile breaths a steady rhythm against the sterile backdrop. Naomi stands close, her hand resting gently on his. "We make them see," she says softly, her voice a quiet promise. Marcus nods, the weight of restraint heavy but resolute. A nurse passes by, her gaze briefly meeting Marcus's. There is a flicker of understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the battle waged beyond the hospital walls. Marcus's eyes narrow, the calm exterior masking a storm of frustration and determination. He picks up a pen, hesitates, then sets it down. The decision to fight or to heal hangs in the balance. A quiet war waged in the stillness of the room. The incubator's light casts long shadows, the fragile life inside a beacon of hope and a reminder of what is at stake. Marcus's breath steadies, his resolve hardening. Outside, the distant murmur of the city continues, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding within these walls. Marcus's voice breaks the silence, low and steady. "See parents, not threats." The words linger, a call to action wrapped in calm dignity. The camera lingers on his face, lines of fatigue softened by unwavering strength. The scene closes with Marcus's hand finding Naomi's, their fingers intertwining, a silent pact of unity and resilience. A soft sigh escapes Marcus's lips as he looks down at the documents again. The weight of history presses on him, but so does the hope for change. He glances at Naomi, who offers a small, encouraging smile. The nurse returns, offering a quiet nod of support before moving on. Marcus's eyes follow her, a flicker of gratitude passing through his expression. The incubator monitor beeps steadily, a reminder of the fragile life they protect. Marcus's hand tightens around Naomi's, their silent strength a shield against the world's doubts. The camera pulls back slowly, capturing the quiet determination. Ciao. Glow of phone screens fills the break room as nurses gather, eyes wide with disbelief and hope. A tweet flashes across the monitors. Even in the NICU, Black parents are questioned. When will it end? The blurred faces of Marcus and Naomi Grant appear, their newborn cradled in the soft light of the incubator. Whispers ripple through the staff, some defensive, others quietly supportive. Priya catches Naomi's eye, a nod passing between them, a silent pact of solidarity. The usual hum of hospital life feels charged, the air thick with the weight of exposure. Marjorie stands apart, her hands trembling as she clutches a folder. The headlines about the Grant's philanthropy flash on, her phone a stark reminder of the power imbalance she underestimated. Her breath catches, the veneer of control slipping. In the administrator's office, a phone rings sharply. The call is answered with a tense voice, eyes flicking between the viral tweet and a spreadsheet of donors. The Grant's name looms large, their generosity now a spotlight on the hospitals. Failings. Outside news vans arrive, cameras poised to capture the unfolding story. The hospital's polished facade begins to crack, truth spilling into the open. Marcus and Naomi stand firm, their quiet dignity a beacon amid the storm. The incubator's soft glow reflects in their eyes, a testament to resilience and the promise of change. The scene closes on screens aglow with Mantia Black Parents Matter, the NICU's usual order, replaced by a rising tide of reckoning. The hospital. Staff's phones buzz relentlessly, the hashtag from Black Parents Matter trending beyond the hospital walls. Conversations shift from hushed tones to urgent discussions. A young nurse whispers, "This changes everything." The camera captures Marjorie's pale face, her usual composure unraveling as the weight of public scrutiny settles in. A board member clears his throat, breaking the tension. "We need a plan," he says, voice low but firm. The room leans in, the weight of accountability pressing down. Marjorie's eyes dart around, searching for an escape, but the walls close in. The camera lingers on Marcus and Naomi, their hands clasped tightly. "We're not just a story," Naomi says quietly. "We're a call for change." The room exhales, the first crack in the hospital's polished facade. The scene fades with the hashtag glowing on screens, a symbol of a movement that refuses to be silenced. The NICU's usual order is shattered, replaced by a quiet but unstoppable wave of reckoning. The boardroom glows under harsh lights, polished wood stretching between those gathered. Marcus and Naomi sit side by side, their lawyer's presence grounding them. Their backs are straight, hands folded, eyes forward, calm but unyielding. The air is thick with anticipation, every breath measured. Marjorie enters last, her uniform creased, the sharpness of her appearance dulled by sleepless nights. She hesitates before taking her seat, her hands smoothing the fabric as if to erase the evidence of unrest. Her gaze flickers to the nameplates, each one a reminder of the power she once felt secure in, now uncertain. The camera lingers on untouched water glasses, condensation slowly pooling beneath them. Board members exchange fleeting looks, some anxious, some resigned. One coughs quietly, shuffling a stack of papers, the sound loud in the charged quiet. Marcus's eyes never leave the far wall, jaw set. Naomi's fingers find his, their hands clasped beneath the table. Their lawyer leans forward, voice low and steady. "Thank you for convening. We're here for answers." The words are simple, but the challenge is clear. Marjorie's hands tremble as she unfolds a document, the paper crinkling in the stillness. She avoids looking at Marcus and Naomi, her gaze instead fixed on the table's glossy surface, where her reflection stares back, drawn, uncertain, exposed. A board member clears her throat, breaking the tension. "Let's proceed." The meeting begins, but the real confrontation is unspoken, hanging heavy between every glance and every pause. The camera pans across the room, nameplates, water glasses, the shifting postures of those present. The polished table, once a symbol of order, now reflects the anxiety and reckoning that has come to claim it. The scene ends on Marjorie's downcast eyes, her composure slipping as the truth begins to surface, the room bracing for what comes next. The boardroom is heavy with tension, the polished surface of the table reflecting the anxious faces gathered around it. The chair clears his throat, voice wavering as he begins, "We deeply regret this misunderstanding." His words float in the air, thin and unsatisfying, failing to bridge the gulf between apology and accountability. Naomi's gaze is unwavering, her fingers tightening around Marcus's hand beneath the table. Marcus taps his finger once, a subtle signal of restraint and expectation. The word misunderstanding lands with a dull thud, its emptiness felt by everyone present. The board chair tries again, his tone strained. "We acknowledge the concerns raised and are committed to reviewing our procedures." His eyes darted to the end of the table, searching for affirmation but finding only discomfort. A board member shifts in her seat, adjusting her scarf, guilt flickering across her face. Marjorie sits rigid, hands clasped tightly in her lap, the mask of composure beginning to slip. Her eyes remain fixed on the table, unable to meet the gaze of those she wronged. Naomi's voice, calm but edged with resolve, cuts through the stillness. "Regret is not enough. How will you ensure this never happens again?" The words are measured, each syllable a demand for real change. The chair swallows, his confidence faltering. The room seems to hold its breath, the old order trembling under the weight of truth. A nurse at the back dabs at her eyes, a silent witness to years of being passed over. The camera lingers on Marjorie's face, her posture sagging as the first cracks of accountability appear. The scene closes with the boardroom's thick air, the fragile promise of change settling over the room, uncertain but undeniable. The boardroom holds its breath, the polished table reflecting the tension in the room. Marcus leans forward, voice calm but sharp. "You just needed to see us as parents." His words cut through the quiet, a restrained anger that demands acknowledgement, not sympathy. A board member shifts, adjusting her scarf, guilt flickering in her eyes. Marjorie's pen slips from her hand, landing on the wood with a muted clatter. A small sound, but it shatters the illusion of her composure. She fumbles to collect herself, hands trembling as she gathers her papers. The incubator's faint beep echoes in memory, a reminder of the fragile life at the center of this reckoning. Naomi sits beside Marcus, her gaze unwavering, her silence louder than any protest. The room feels smaller, the air thick with the weight of truth pressing down on every shoulder. A board member clears her throat, voice barely above a whisper. "We must do better." The words hang, heavy with the burden of years ignored. Another member scribbles a note, his hand unsteady. Marcus's voice remains steady. "It's not about who we are outside this room. It's about who we are here as parents." He glances at Naomi, drawing strength from her presence. Marjorie's eyes dart toward the door, posture rigid. The authority she once relied on is slipping, replaced by the undeniable force of quiet justice. She presses her lips together, unable to meet Marcus's eyes. The camera lingers on Marcus's face, exhaustion etched into his features but softened by resolve. Naomi's hand finds him under the table, a silent show of unity. The scene closes on the boardroom, a space transformed by the courage of a father who speaks without raising his voice. The first real shift in a room built to resist change. The boardroom's polished surface glints under the overhead lights, reflecting Marjorie's trembling hands as she clutches a worn folder, its edges frayed from weeks of anxious handling. Her voice falters, barely more than a whisper. I was trying to protect the babies." The words drift, brittle and uncertain, failing to shield her from the reality settling in. Across the table, the lawyer slides a tablet forward, the screen flickering to life. Security footage plays. Marjorie questioning Marcus and Naomi, posture rigid, eyes searching for reasons to doubt. In the background, white parents move freely, their laughter unguarded, their credentials unchecked. Marjorie's breath catches. Her composure cracks, the practiced calm slipping away. She drops her gaze, unable to meet Marcus's steady eyes or Naomi's silent strength. The room is thick with quiet tension, every board member acutely aware of the truth now playing out before them. A board member shifts in her chair, clearing her throat. This footage is difficult to watch, but necessary. Her words are steady, but her eyes flicker with guilt and discomfort. Naomi remains silent, her presence filling the space more powerfully than any accusation. Marcus's fingers tighten. Around her hand, a subtle but unbreakable show of unity. Marjorie's mask of control finally gives way. Her shoulders sag, the weight of her choices pressing down. The folder slips from her grasp, papers spilling across the floor like autumn leaves, each page a record of decisions that can no longer be defended. The camera lingers on Marjorie's face, lines deepened by regret, fatigue, and the first glimmer of realization. Her old defenses fall away, replaced by a raw, fragile vulnerability. Outside, the hospital hums on, oblivious to the reckoning inside. The scene ends on the scattered papers, a silent testament to a system beginning to fracture. Marjorie's eyes dart to the door, her heel pivoting slightly as the weight of the room presses down. The polished floor reflects her hesitant steps, each one a retreat from the confrontation she can no longer face. Priya, seated among the board members, watches with a steady gaze, her presence a silent blockade. The air thickens, heavy with unspoken accusations and the slow unraveling of authority. Marjorie's breath catches, her fingers tightening around the edge of the table as if seeking an anchor. The room's quiet is punctuated only by the soft shuffle of papers and the distant hum of hospital machines. Her posture stiffens, a cornered figure trapped by the consequences of her actions. The camera lingers on her face, tight lips, furrowed, brow, eyes flickering with fear and regret. She shifts her weight, the subtle tremor in her hands betraying the facade of control. Priya's eyes meet Marjorie's, unwavering and calm. The unspoken message is clear. There is no escape from accountability. Marjorie's gaze drops, the fight draining from her as she slowly turns toward the exit. A board member clears their throat, breaking the tension. The sound echoes like a gavel, signaling the end of an era. Marjorie's footsteps grow faint, swallowed by the vastness of the corridor beyond. The camera follows her retreat, the door closing softly behind her, a quiet punctuation to a chapter of denial and doubt. Outside, the hospital buzzes with life, indifferent to the fall of one who once wielded power with certainty. The scene fades on the empty boardroom, the polished table reflecting the weight of change. The stillness lingers, heavy and unyielding, as the echoes of the past settle into the present. The weight of years of unchecked bias and quiet complicity hangs in the air, a reminder that change is slow but inevitable. The camera pans slowly across the empty seats, the scattered papers, and the dimming lights, each element a symbol of a system beginning to fracture. The boardroom's heavy air shifts, subtly as Naomi remains silent, her presence speaking volumes. Her steady breath, the calm in her eyes, and the gentle touch of her hand resting on Marcus's arm create a quiet but powerful force that fills the room. Marjorie's gaze flickers toward Naomi, searching for a crack, but finds only unwavering strength. The board members shift uncomfortably, their rehearsed defenses faltering under the weight of Naomi's quiet dignity. A board member clears her throat, breaking the quiet, but Naomi's stillness holds the room captive. Her silence is louder than any accusation, a testament to resilience and unspoken power. Marcus squeezes Naomi's hand, a silent show of unity and support. The camera lingers on Naomi's composed face, the lines of fatigue softened by a fierce determination that needs no words. Marjorie's shoulders slump slightly, the tension in her posture easing as the room acknowledges the shift. The old order trembles, challenged not by raised voices, but by the calm certainty of justice. A nurse at the back dabs at her eyes, moved by the scene unfolding. The janitor pauses in the hallway, mop in hand, witnessing the quiet revolution taking place. The board chair clears his throat again, voice softer this time. "We hear you, Ms. Grant." The words are tentative but carry the weight of change. Naomi's eyes meet Marcus's, a flicker of hope passing between them. The room exhales collectively, the moment marking a turning point in the fight for equity. The scene closes on Naomi's steady gaze, a silent rebuke to years of dismissal and a beacon for the future. The air thickens, the weight of history pressing down, but Naomi's calm remains unbroken. Her presence is a quiet storm, a force that shifts the balance without a single word. A young board member shifts in her seat, glancing toward Naomi with newfound respect. The camera captures the subtle nods exchanged among the members, a silent agreement that change is inevitable. Outside the room, footsteps echo softly, a reminder that the world watches and waits. The room is heavy with anticipation as the lawyer slides a document across the polished table. The words mandatory bias training, public apology, and a substantial donation to the Grants Foundation are clear, a tangible reckoning born from shame. The paper's edge glints under the lights, a line drawn between the past and what must come next. Board members hover over pens, hesitation thick in the air before signatures begin to mark the pages. Each stroke is deliberate, the sound of ink on paper echoing in the charged quiet. The camera zooms in on Marjorie's line, left unsigned, a silent testament to her fading authority and the consequences of her actions. Her hands fold tightly. In her lap, knuckles whitening, the mask of confidence slipping. She glances around the room, eyes meeting those of colleagues who now regard her with a mix of pity and judgment. A nurse nearby shifts uncomfortably, her gaze flickering to Marjorie. Before she looks away, the unspoken acknowledgement of systemic failure hanging between them. The old order is being rewritten, line by line, signature by signature. The lawyer's voice cuts through the tension, outlining the steps the hospital will take to rebuild trust and ensure equity. This is not just a gesture, he says. It's a commitment. The words are measured, but their impact is profound, signaling a shift from denial to accountability. Outside the boardroom, the hospital hums with life, unaware of the quiet revolution unfolding within these walls. The camera lingers on the scattered papers, the signed documents, a fragile promise of change. Marjorie's eyes dart to the exit, her posture stiffening as the reality of her situation settles in. She is no longer the arbiter of order, but a symbol of what must never be repeated. The scene closes on her trembling hands, the first visible crack in a once unshakable facade. The gavel of change has fallen, and the echoes will ripple far beyond this room. The hospital corridor is dim, the fluorescent lights flickering as Marjorie walks with a heavy step. Her badge, once a symbol of pride, now catches the harsh glow of the exit sign. Whispers trail behind her like shadows. She's lost it. This won't end well. Her colleagues avoid her gaze, their silence louder than any accusation. Marjorie pauses by the nurse's station, the hum of machines a distant backdrop to her unraveling. A young nurse glances at her with a mix of pity and relief, then quickly looks away. The janitor, mop in hand, watches from the corner, his eyes reflecting the quiet collapse of a system that once protected its own. Her hands tremble as she clutches a folder, the edges worn from constant use. The weight of public scrutiny presses down, each step heavier than the last. She passes a group of nurses sharing hushed conversations, their words sharp but muted. "She messed with the wrong family," one whispers, the phrase hanging like a verdict. Marjorie's breath catches. Her composure slipping. She leans against the wall, the cold surface grounding her in a moment of fragile clarity. The hospital's polished floors reflect her fractured image, a woman undone by the very institution she served. Outside, the city moves on, indifferent to the fall of one who wielded power with certainty. The camera lingers on Marjorie's face, lines deepened by regret and fear. Her eyes close briefly, a silent admission of defeat. A nurse nearby adjusts her mask, her eyes flickering with a mix of sympathy and judgment. A board member passes, shaking his head slowly, the weight of institutional failure evident in his expression. Marjorie's footsteps echo down the hallway, a fading rhythm marking the end of an era. The hospital's walls seem colder, the air heavier, as if mourning the loss of trust. Her reflection in a glass door catches the light, fractured and distorted, mirroring the brokenness within. The janitor pauses again, mop resting against the wall, his gaze lingering on Marjorie with quiet understanding. The scene closes on the empty corridor, the silence a stark contrast to the storm that has passed through. The boardroom falls silent as the new plaque is unveiled in the NICU hallway. Its polished surface gleams beneath soft hospital lights, the inscription clear, "In honor of baby Grant, every family belongs." Naomi's fingers trace the letters, her eyes reflecting the steady rhythm of her daughter's heartbeat nearby. The space is filled with a solemn hope, a sense that something lasting has been built from struggle. Priya stands close, tears shining in her eyes as she watches a young black couple pause to read the words aloud. Their quiet exchange is full of meaning, a gentle affirmation that belonging is finally possible. A nurse approaches with a warm, open smile, offering help without hesitation. It's a small gesture, but it marks a profound shift in the culture of care. The incubators hum, their glass now reflecting the light of new beginnings instead of suspicion. The camera sweeps across the room, capturing faces marked by relief, determination, and the cautious optimism that comes with real progress. The air feels lighter, the old tension replaced by a promise of something better. In the background, Marjorie's empty desk sits untouched, a silent monument to the old order that has been challenged and changed. The janitor pauses in the hallway, mop resting against his shoulder, his gaze steady as he witnesses the legacy unfolding before him. Naomi's voiceover is calm, steady. This plaque is more than words. It's a promise, a beacon for every family who has ever felt overlooked. We belong. The scene closes on the plaque's shine. the hospital corridor bathed in warm light, a legacy of hope and dignity stretching into the future. The boardroom empties slowly, the polished table reflecting the fading light. Marjorie stays seated, her hands trembling as she clutches the worn folder one last time. The day's weight settles on her shoulders, the quiet thick with the echoes of what's been lost and what's been revealed. Outside, reporters gather, their voices a low murmur beneath the flashing cameras. The Grants stand together, their quiet dignity a stark contrast to the storm behind the closed doors. Questions come fast. How do you feel? What comes next? But their answers are measured, calm, and unshaken. Marjorie's reflection, fractures in the glass wall, a distorted image of a woman undone by the system she once upheld. Her breath catches, the tremor in her hands now a visible confession. She rises slowly, the chair scraping softly against the floor, the sound echoing in the empty room. A janitor pauses in the hallway, mop in hand, watching with quiet understanding. The hospital's hum continues, indifferent to the fall of one who once wielded power with certainty. The automatic doors hiss shut behind Marjorie as she steps out, the sound a final punctuation to an era of denial. The camera lingers on the empty boardroom, scattered papers and the fading light, a testament to change in motion. The scene closes on Marjorie's trembling hand, the worn folder slipping from her grasp, a symbol of a broken system beginning to heal. The cafe is quiet except for the faint clink of a spoon against a mug. Marjorie sits alone at a corner table, her coffee untouched and cooling. She scrolls through her phone, eyes darting over headlines about the hospital's reforms. Her name is buried in a flood of angry comments. Hashtags like "Monk's Black Parents" matter flashing relentlessly across the screen, a digital verdict she can't escape. The door swings open, letting in a burst of laughter as former colleagues enter. Their voices falter when they spot her, smiles slipping into uneasy silence. The barista wipes the counter, gaze fixed on her work, never meeting Marjorie's eyes. Marjorie's shoulders sag, the weight of isolation settling with a heaviness she's never known. She scrolls past a comment accusing her of bias, another questioning her judgment. The cafe's warmth feels distant, replaced by a chill that creeps into her bones. A young woman at a nearby table glances over, eyes flickering with a mix of pity and discomfort before she looks away. Marjorie's breath catches as a group of nurses passes by, their whispered conversation halting as they notice her. One pauses, offering a tight, apologetic smile that never reaches her eyes. The moment is brief, but loaded, a reminder of fractured trust and the cost of prejudice. Her phone buzzes again, the screen lighting up with another news alert. She stares at it, the headline flashing. Hospital implements new anti-bias policies after NICU incident. The irony is sharp, a bitter echo of the events that led her here. Outside, the city moves on, indifferent to the quiet exile unfolding within the cafe's walls. Marjorie's fingers tighten around her phone, the cold coffee forgotten as she sits in the shadow of a reputation reduced to hashtags. The city sidewalk is a stage of avoidance. Marjorie walks with measured steps, her posture hunched, the weight of public judgment pressing down. Neighbors cross the street, their eyes averted, whispers trailing behind like shadows. A mother pulls her child closer, voice low and wary. Marjorie's reflection catches in a store window, a distorted image of a woman unraveling. Her fingers clutch her phone tightly, knuckles white, the screen's glow a cold companion. The warmth of her once starched uniform is gone, replaced by a chill that seeps into her bones. A passerby pauses, eyes flickering with recognition before quickly looking away. The unspoken message is clear. She is marked, isolated by the consequences of bias exposed. Marjorie's breath catches, a silent admission of the cost borne alone. The city's hum continues, indifferent to the fractures beneath its surface. Marjorie's steps falter, the distance between her and the world growing with every crossed street and averted glance. The camera lingers on her tightening grip, a physical manifestation of shame and regret. Inside a nearby cafe, a group of Nurses exchange quiet glances, their conversation hushed but charged. The ripple of change spreads beyond hospital walls, touching lives and reshaping futures. Marjorie's exile is both public and deeply personal. The scene closes on Marjorie, pausing at a crosswalk, the light shifting. She looks up, eyes meeting, the sky, a moment of fragile reflection before the world moves on without her. Sunlight streams through tall windows, casting a gentle glow over the circle of women. Naomi sits among them, her presence calm and steady. New mothers of color cradle their babies, voices low but strong as they share stories of hope and hardship. Naomi listens, nodding, her words measured and warm. "You belong here," she says, her tone unwavering. The group falls quiet, the power of her assurance settling over them like a blanket. A white nurse, once distant, sits nearby, notebook in hand, taking notes with humility. Her eyes flicker with understanding, the old barriers replaced by a genuine desire to learn. A mother wipes away tears, gratitude shining in her eyes. Naomi offers a gentle smile, reaching out to squeeze her hand. The moment is small but seismic, a quiet revolution unfolding in the safety of this room. The camera pans to a framed photo on the wall, the new NICU plaque, its shadow stretching across the nurse's face. The inscription is clear, a daily reminder that every family deserves dignity and welcome. Laughter bubbles up among the mothers, the tension of the past replaced by a sense of community. Naomi's leadership is subtle but profound, her strength evident in every nod, every reassuring glance. The nurse looks up, meeting Naomi's eyes with a silent promise to do better. As the meeting ends, the mothers linger, reluctant to leave the warmth they've found. Naomi gathers her things, pausing to look around the room, a sanctuary built on trust and quiet courage. The scene closes on Naomi, her daughter nestled in her arms, the circle of mothers a testament to the power of solidarity and the beginning of lasting change. The hospital auditorium is filled with a quiet murmur, the soft shuffle of feet and the rustle of papers. Marcus stands at the podium, his posture calm but resolute. His daughter's tiny hat is pinned to his lapel, a silent emblem of the journey that brought him here. Marcus, softly. See parents, not threats. The room falls into a hush, the weight of his words settling over doctors, nurses, and staff alike. Faces turn toward him, some nodding, others caught in reflection. A janitor leans against the back wall, mop in hand, eyes glistening with quiet approval. Marjorie's replacement, a black nurse with a gentle smile, watches from the side, her eyes moist with emotion. The camera lingers on her nod, a symbol of progress and healing. Marcus's voice remains steady, each word measured but powerful. We are more than the doubts cast upon us. We are the strength behind every heartbeat in this room. A nurse, near the front, wipes a tear, her hands trembling slightly. The audience leans in, the atmosphere charged with a collective hope. Marcus glances down briefly, then meets Naomi's eyes in the crowd. Their silent exchange speaks volumes. Shared pain, resilience, and the promise of change. The scene closes with Marcus stepping down, the applause gentle but sincere. The camera pulls back to show the diverse crowd united in quiet solidarity, the seeds of transformation taking root. The soft hum of the hospital continues, but something has shifted, a quiet revolution led by a father's unwavering voice. The NICU hallway glows with late afternoon sun, the new plaque mounted at eye level, its inscription crisp and bold. Every family welcome. Below, the names Marcus and Naomi Grant shine, etched proof of a journey through hardship and hope. The corridor, once tense and uncertain, now feels transformed. A young black couple pauses in front of the plaque, fingers tracing the engraved words. Their eyes meet, a silent exchange of relief and belonging. The nurse on duty approaches, her smile genuine, her posture open. "Can I help you?" she asks, her tone gentle, carrying the weight of a promise fulfilled. The incubators hum, softly, their glass surfaces reflecting not suspicion, but the warmth of new beginnings. The camera pans across the room, capturing the subtle shifts, faces once wary now softened by optimism, staff members exchanging nods of quiet understanding. The air is lighter, the old tension replaced by something like hope. In the background, Marjorie's desk sits empty, papers neatly stacked, a silent monument to a chapter closed. The janitor, mop in hand, pauses in the hallway, his gaze steady as he takes in the scene. He nods to the nurse, a small gesture that speaks volumes about the change he's witnessed. Naomi's voiceover is calm, steady. This plaque is more than words. It's a promise, a beacon for every family who has ever felt overlooked. We belong. We always have. The camera lingers on the young couple, their smiles growing as they step forward, welcomed without hesitation. The nurse's eyes meet theirs, a silent vow to uphold the promise etched in metal. In the background, a group of hospital staff gathers, their conversation low but full of resolve. The janitor resumes his work, the mop's rhythm a quiet heartbeat in the renewed space. Outside, sunlight filters through the windows, casting long shadows that dance with the light, a metaphor for the journey from darkness to hope. The scene closes on the plaque, its polished surface reflecting the faces of those who fought for change, a testament to resilience and the quiet power of justice. The NICU doors slide open with a gentle hiss. A black father enters, shoulders tense but eyes hopeful, a diaper bag slung over one arm. He pauses, glancing at the new plaque, every family welcome, and then at his newborn, visible through the glass. For a moment he hesitates, expecting the familiar request for identification. But instead, the new nurse, Priya's protege, a young woman with kind eyes and steady hands, greets him by name. "Good morning, Mr. Taylor. Your son's been waiting for you." Her voice is warm, free of suspicion or challenge. Relief washes over him. His exhale fogs the incubator's glass as he bends to whisper to his child. The nurse checks the monitors, her movements efficient and gentle. She offers a quick update, then steps aside, allowing father and son their moment. The father's smile is small but genuine, the tension in his posture melting away. Across the room, another nurse watches, taking quiet note of the new routine. No barriers, no second-guessing, just care. In the corner, Marjorie's old desk sits empty. A young Latina nurse now occupies the chair, flipping through a binder, labeled Equity and Inclusion. She highlights a passage, nodding to herself, then joins the others with a sense of purpose. The janitor, passing by, catches the father's eye and gives a subtle thumbs up. It's a gesture of solidarity, an acknowledgement of the shift that has taken root. The staff exchanges glances, some proud, others contemplative, all aware that something fundamental has changed. The camera lingers on the father as he gently strokes his son's tiny hand through the incubator opening. The nurse stands by, ready to help but never intrusive. The hum of the machines is steady, a quiet backdrop to a new era of trust. Outside, the sun climbs higher, illuminating the plague and the faces of everyone in the ward. The legacy of change is no longer just a promise. It's alive in every unquestioned entry, every welcome, every act of dignity. The room is quiet, bathed in the gentle gold of evening light spilling through the hospital window. Naomi rocks her daughter in her arms, the slow, steady motion a comfort after so much unrest. Her voice is low, a whisper meant for her child but carrying the weight of every mother who came before. Naomi, softly, "Justice isn't loud, it's the quiet certainty that we belong." Her words linger, weaving through a montage of change. Nurses now greet families with warmth, their smiles real, their gestures open. On the bulletin board, new policies are posted in bold print. Commitments to equity, promises of care for every family. Staff gather in small groups, their conversations thoughtful, the old ways giving way to something better. Marcus stands nearby, his hand resting on Naomi's shoulder. In his eyes, there is pride, a recognition of the struggle, and hope for the future. He watches their daughter sleep, his presence a silent vow that this victory will not be fleeting. The camera glides to the new plaque in the NICU hallway, its polished surface reflecting the last rays of sunlight. The words, "Every family welcome" shimmer, a beacon for all who enter. A young nurse welcomes a black couple at the entrance, her smile genuine, her tone kind. The couple's relief is visible, a quiet breath released, a burden eased. Naomi's voice continues, steady and sure. Naomi, V.O. Change doesn't roar, it whispers. Then it moves mountains. The scene shifts to a sunlit room filled with families, some laughing, some sharing stories, all finding comfort in this new community. The atmosphere is one of healing, trust rebuilt where suspicion once lived. Outside, the hospital stands tall, its windows aglow, a symbol of progress in a world still learning to listen. The camera lingers on Naomi's peaceful face as she watches her daughter sleep, the quiet strength of justice fulfilled filling the space. The scene fades to black, Naomi's final words echoing softly, "We belong." The hospital doors slide open with a soft hiss, sunlight pouring in and casting long shadows across the polished floor. Naomi cradles her daughter close, the baby's gentle breaths syncing with the steady rhythm of the day's new beginning. Marcus walks beside her, his hand resting lightly on her back, a quiet strength in his presence. Their reflections shimmer in the glass doors, unbroken, clear, and strong, a symbol of resilience and change. The world outside moves with its usual pace, but inside this moment, time seems to pause, honoring the journey that brought them here. A young black couple enters the NICU, their faces a mix of hope and cautious optimism. A nurse greets them warmly, her smile genuine and free of doubt. The couple's relieved exhale fills the space, a silent testament to the progress made. The incubators hum softly, their glass reflecting not suspicion, but the light of new beginnings. The camera pans across the ward, capturing faces softened by relief and determination. The air feels lighter, the heavy tension replaced by a cautious optimism. Outside, the sun dips lower, bathing the hospital in a golden glow. The automatic doors close behind the Grants, sealing an era of quiet struggle and ushering in a future shaped by dignity and justice. Naomi's voiceover begins, calm and reflective. The world is quieter now, but it's not the same. Change has taken root, growing strong in the spaces where silence once lived. The scene fades on the glowing hospital sign, a beacon of hope in the dusk, as the camera pulls back to reveal the city skyline, alive with possibility.